this time. Following the hearing, we will conduct our monthly business meeting, at which time we will vote on the applications. You may stay and hear how the applications are decided, or you may leave following the hearing. The applicant and the town board will be sent a copy of tonight's decisions. Any other person wishing to receive a copy of a decision can sign the sheet at the table in the front of the room. Those of you wishing immediate knowledge of the outcome of these proceedings may call the county zoning office tomorrow morning. The procedures will be as follows. After each application is read, the applicant, their agent, or representative will be asked to present their application, followed by any questions or comments from the committee. Then all correspondence will be read. Then others in favor will have a chance to speak. Anyone objecting will then have a chance to speak. I will then ask for a summary of the committee's field observations and staff comments. Finally, the applicant will be allowed a chance for a short rebuttal if they wish. Anyone wishing to speak should use the microphone, state their name, and direct their comments to the committee. Because of the number of applicants tonight, I'm asking that all testimony be kept brief and to the point. The applicant will have 5 minutes to present information on their application other than questions from the committee. Anyone else wishing to speak should limit their testimony to 3 minutes. Any rebuttal by the applicant will also be limited to 3 minutes. If you are testifying as a nearby landowner, please tell us where your property is located relative to the subject's property. Tonight's hearing will be recorded, and the recording will be part of the record. Comments that are based on hearsay or secondhand information, as well as slanderous and prejudicial remarks, will be ruled out of order. The committee has looked at all the properties, and the record will reflect their observations. Any person affected by an administrative decision of the committee has 10 days from filing of tonight's decision to make an appeal. Such appeals are heard by the Board of Adjustments. Information and applications are available from the zoning office. The county assumes no liability and makes no warranty as to the legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of the 10-day period. I will introduce the committee. To the far left, Russ Heisey, Michael Kapp, Fred Gallerup, Bob Wadle, Terry Dopp Hockstead, zoning administrator, and my name is Mark Kirschner. The first application that we will hear tonight, Leo Sauter, Ripon, Wisconsin, has made an application for a conditional use after the fact in accordance with sections 58-903, page 3 of the Waushara County Zoning Code for filling and grading in excess of 10,000 square feet in area within 300 feet of a navigable waterway with drainage to the waterway, reclamation in accordance with sections 58-963 in an AG general agricultural zone within the shoreland area. Location, an approximate 25-acre parcel of land being the east half of the southwest quarter of the northwest quarter, section 30, town 18 north, range 12 east, town of Warren, County Road F. Is the applicant present? Would you come up to the microphone and state your name for the record, please?
Leo J. Sauter.
Leo, you want to give us a little history of what you're trying to do, or what you're going to do, or what you have been doing, or whatever?
Well, what we started out was an irrigation pond about 3 years ago, and then we needed to get rid of the sand, so it ended up we had to get a mining permit, and we got that with no problem. It was after the fact, and as my friend that was using the sand for cowbed sand, he needed more, so we went to Sarah at the DNR, got a permit to enlarge the pond and dig another irrigation pond on the other side. At the present time, we're not using it for irrigation because we had a wet year. We got a pump there. We planned on irrigating Christmas trees with it. But the long-range program, we wanted to maybe hook the ponds together and build a decent-sized lake for fishing and recreation. So right now, the first pond, there was no problem. The second pond now, they're asking for this. We're too close to the ditch. And the first time they looked at it, there seemed to be no problem on the south side. This is on the north side. Mm-hmm. So that's where I end up now. And I guess we got to find out what we got to do to clear this up. Simple as that.
Okay. The committee will have a few questions for you, Leo, so just sit tight. Committee questions, please?
Okay, some of these may be self-explanatory, but I'll ask them anyway. Has there been a recent survey, and do you know where your lot lines are?
Definitely, we had to do all that to get our mining permit.
Okay. And you said you dug it for irrigation ponds, and then it turned into the neighbor needed bedding sand. What sort of equipment are you planning on using out there?
Right now, we're using a large backhoe, two of them occasionally, and one haul truck to haul it up to, we got a screen plant. We have to screen the sand in order to market it to the agriculture market.
You're not doing any crushing or washing of these materials, are you?
Not at the present time.
If you do decide to wash, how will you get rid of the wastewater from the washing?
We have no real plans for anything like that for washing, because our purpose right now is to just get rid of sand, and the only way we get rid of it is right now is cow bedding sand.
Okay. How long do you expect this operation to last or will last?
Well, it's going to depend on the market, I guess, you know. If we stay competitive, it may last, and we want to dig the ponds. We're applying for a permit now for 3 more ponds, about 2.5 acres. And they're digging one at a time, so we only got to pump so much water. And once we've got them all dug, then we can hook them together, you know.
Okay. What is the maximum depth of the excavation in the resultant pond?
Those current ponds probably 18, 20 feet.
Will the ponds have safe slopes for egress should someone fall in there?
Well, we filed a mining permit. We got to have the right slopes and all that. It's filed here, and the second one's been filed. It's all on record.
Okay, what sort of traffic does this generate? How many trucks and the size of trucks and the number of trucks?
Well, right now they're quads. We're running probably 40 trucks a month out of there.
Okay.
Probably more than that. We're running, it varies. In the fall, they're cleaning the beds, and we got to bring in more sand. Actually, today probably there was 10 quads out of there. And then you don't have any for a while. So we're running probably at least 40, 50 quads a month out of there.
Okay. Will the existing driveway be used?
Yes, its driveway was put in years ago. It's a 60-foot, you can look on the maps, it's a 66-foot right-of-way across my property, and it's a road built good enough to be a town road someday.
Okay. Are there issues with dust if the processing area and the driveway get real dry? And if so, how will you deal with those dust
Well,
issues?
we haven't had a problem because it's all on my property, and there's no one close by.
Okay.
I got a renter at the Victory School, which is over, but there's quite a lot of trees and that, and we don't foresee a problem. The road basically goes through the woods.
Okay. You filed a reclamation plan on how you will be closing the site. Can you give us a little detail on how you plan on going about doing that?
Well, we had a pile of sand in a field, and when that disappeared, we reseeded it according to the reclamation plan. And at the present time, we're not digging in the first pond, we're digging a little bit more. Then we'll put our slopes in, and we got to reseed it as recommended. And we went a little farther. We know we're going to have a little water runoff, so we've got drawn on that first reclamation plan some slopes and some ditches with crushed rock, like you see on the side of a road where you got 4 or 5 inch rocks, so we don't wash the shores out again.
Okay. What will the use of the land be after the site is done, after you've dug as much sand as you think you can get out of there? You're gonna.
Well, at the present time, it is basically going to be hunting land or recreational land. Everyone's talking about we're going to build the campgrounds there. There's nothing in sight right now for that. We're doing it so that the future generation could do that maybe. And it's set up. We've got enough workable land if somebody want to build some homes around there.
Okay. You said you own all the land adjoining it and surrounding that, but will the activities be at least 300 feet from any person that's not on your property? Any other residences?
Well, the outer residents are a few thousand feet away.
Okay, okay. Will the finished slopes be at least 50 feet from the closest lot line? Or 50 feet away from the closest?
Definitely.
Okay. how far is the excavation going to be from the ditch or stream on this property?
Well, the present one is approximately 75 to 100 feet. And that's what we started the one on the other side.
Did you install the ditch crossing and do all the excavating using the best management practices to protect the groundwater and surface water resources?
On the east side, we got silk screen up right now at the present time.
You did put the ditch crossing in? You did put the ditch crossing in?
Silk screen on the east side.
Okay. Have you talked to DNR about that ditch crossing?
Not, the only thing I talked to DNR is Sarah and Oshkosh when she gave me permits and she had a map of everything. That's,
So as far as you know, it's up to code and that the ditch
as far as
crossing?
I know, yeah.
Okay.
So this was brought up.
Do you need any extra permits from the DNR?
As far as I know.
How about a stormwater permit? Do you need that?
As far as I knew, it wasn't required.
Are you aware of the financial surety requirements for, in case something would happen and the pit had to be closed, that you have bonds or?
The first one, I got a 30,000 bond, and I put another 30,000 up for the future. Right at the present time, it's here in their office.
And that's adequate to reclaim it?
Revocable letter of credit to reclaim it, yeah.
You have already started to excavate in this area, is that correct?
The one pond has basically been finished,
And
and
you've
the
started-
second one started, yeah.
Okay, that's all the questions I have at this time.
Is there any other questions from Russell, Mike, or Fred?
That ditch that's there, is that a drainage district?
Most of it's our ditches. There's about 300 feet of drainage district, Warren, Seneca Drainage District. They were out there and looked at it and didn't seem to have a problem. If there's a problem, I guess we're doing a water runoff, amount of water that comes into there. And they said they'd give us permission, once we have a stamp on that, to close it up.
Close the ditch?
Yeah. It's the beginning of the ditch. There's only about 300 feet of Warren Senecas on my property.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you, Leo. Person registered, speak in favor, Stephen R. Sorensen.
My name is Attorney Stephen R. Sorensen, and I appear just with Leo. I was just here to answer any questions. A couple of things I would comment, because in response to your questions, we have talked to the DNR, and certainly as a condition of the permit, we're more than happy to, have that a condition that we talk to the DNR, work with the DNR. The same is true with the drainage district. Leo did have the drainage district people come out and take a look at it. We haven't received anything back from them suggesting, only the discussion, which he said, which was we could close up the ditch when we got done with the project. I would indicate that I've been involved with mining for about 30 years now, and the mining permit gives you about a 3-to-1 that's required by law, and that's what's in the reclamation permit. Marshall Isley did basically the reclamation plan, and so I think you can see that it really covers. But we'll answer any questions you have about any part of it. We certainly don't want you to think that we're trying to get around the law. He thought he was basically digging an irrigation pond that turned into a business venture, and we found out we had to get a permit. And we came right up and got it right away and got everything to the office. So that's all I wanted to say. Unless you got questions.
Thank you.
Are you aware of any contact with stormwater permits? I mean, is there one? There isn't one required here?
Yeah, there wouldn't be one required at this time because the nature of there's no active washing of the sand, and the only water that's there is basically water that's in the pond or water that comes from the good Lord from above, and that's not what they look for stormwater is if we put an impervious surface of any kind in there, or if we were building a pile that was going to stay there and you're going to wash the sand, and then you're going to have this runoff water, then the DNR wants a permit. And under the new rules that just went into effect in July, that's even a stricter permit for stormwater. That's the new rules that came in for
Okay.
stormwater and mining. But this wouldn't, because there's no processing part of this, at least at this point. If there's processing, you'd have to get a different permit.
Okay, thank you. Staff comments?
For the record, the committee has previously been furnished with a copy of the site plan and all the other pertinent data for this and the other applications that they will be looking at tonight. I'd like to explain a little bit about this particular application. The town of Warren is the one township in Waushara County that does not have comprehensive zoning. So this isn't necessarily a conditional use permit to permit the mine. It's a conditional use permit because there's filling and grading of greater than 10,000 square feet going on close to this ditch that has stream history, and it's considered navigable by DNR, and there is drainage towards the waterway. So our code, our shoreline zoning code, says that you need to then have a conditional use permit to do that filling and grading. So it's kind of a different permit than a normal non-metallic mining operation. The reclamation plan needs to be filed for any non-metallic mining operation in the county. That would even cover any that might be in a village or city, and obviously even in the unzoned township of Warren. So that's here. That only needs to be considered at a public hearing if someone requests that it be considered, and no one did. You know, we had the notice in the paper and no one's asked about it. So it's always nice to know what they're gonna do with it in the end and make sure that they're gonna follow it, but that's really not the reason that we're here. When the committee visited the property, they noted that the applicant should check with DNR regarding permits that may be required from that agency. I'm a little unsure whether they need one from DNR for that ditch too, so that would be another thing to check with Sarah. And once the operation has all of its permits, it should not be an issue, really. It's just a matter of getting these permits and making sure that all the plans and financial surety are in place. Continuing to work without permits certainly is not condoned by our office or the committee, and we certainly hope that Mr. Sauter, as he looks to dig more ponds, contacts us before he starts digging, so we can make sure that there aren't permits needed or that we get the reclamation plans in, approved, and all that stuff. And as long as he follows best management practices while mining, I'm sure it'll make it safe for the public and the environment. So that's it for my comments.
Is there anything that you'd like to add, Leo? Okay. All right, thank you. Next application that we will hear tonight, Todd A. and Janie M. Reapy, Neosha, Wisconsin, have made application for conditional use in accordance with sections 58-236, paragraph 18, and 58-454, paragraph 31 of the Waushara County Zoning Code to store a 2004 Everest 34-foot travel trailer in an AG-3 general agricultural 3-acre minimum zone within the shoreland area. Location: a parcel of land being the northwest quarter of the southeast quarter, less certified survey map number 4805, section 28, town 18 north, range 9 east, town of Richford, county road B. Is the applicant present? Would you come forward, please? Would you state your name for the record, please?
Todd Reapy.
Todd, can you explain a few things, what you're going to do out there to the committee?
Yeah, we bought a second home up here about 8 years ago on 40 acres. Love it. Plan to retire up here, but due to work and life and everything else, keeping up with 2 homes was too much. So we ended up this year selling off 4 acres of that and the home. We were left with 36 acres, give or take. And the plan was to simplify it, so when we get up here, we can relax and not have yard work and everything else. So I went and purchased a fifth wheel to put into the woods off of the road. Contacted Adams Columbia Electric to bring in some power so we didn't have to hear a generator running, and we were set to go. I then said, boy, I wonder if it's like an ATV, I need a sticker or something, and realized I had a little bit more of a process ahead of me. So parked it where we live in Dodge County and filed the applications, met on site to look at the setbacks to make sure that we were fine there, and filled out the application, and that's
staff comments or committee questions, I mean? I don't care.
Why don't you do it?
Has there been a recent survey on the property?
The last survey was done, I believe it was about 10 years ago, not a recent one.
Do you know where the lot lines are?
Yeah, they're marked. I've got a farm to the south of me when there's a post on there, so we've got a good feel for that.
Is the trailer licensed and roadworthy?
Yeah, it's very nice. It's licensed, titled. It'll be coming off the property after the end of the hunting season, and then I'll bring it back once it gets warm. So yeah, it's definitely roadworthy.
Will the trailer be at least 100 feet from all lot lines?
Oh yeah.
Will you be able to place trailer so that it's out of the floodplain and at least 50 feet away from any wetland?
We were out there with the rangefinder to make sure that we had plenty of room and kind of pick the spot and clean the spot to bring it back into.
Will the trailer be visible from neighboring properties or the public road?
When the leaves are down, you can probably spot it. When the leaves are up, I don't know that you would. It's set back behind some pines, so if you're looking for it, I think you'll see it once the leaves are down, but it's pretty hidden back there.
Is there something you could do to screen the unit from the public road, especially during winter when the leaves are off?
I strategically put it behind the pines, and I think that's my best cover. They're pretty decent pines. Until they come down, I don't know what more I could do, but I tried to pick the best spot I could for it.
Will the trailer be placed there year-round?
No.
How often do you anticipate visiting the property and spending time with the trailer?
I'm a weekend warrior, except for bow hunting season. Then I'll do 3 or 4 days at a time, but otherwise, when work will allow me, a week over the summer for vacation.
Have you talked to the neighbors and the town board about the placement of the trailer?
Talked to the neighbors. I left messages for the town board, but we were never able to communicate.
Will there be a running water?
No.
What type of sanitary facilities are you planning?
It's got a porta potty that I've got with it, so I can take anything away. That way I don't have to pull it out and pump the head. I can just take the small tank.
Are there any other buildings or structures that are going to be planned to put on the property there?
Down the road, we would like to retire there. If I could put in a small home at some point, that's kind of our long-term plan, but we're talking 20 years, so unfortunately.
Are there any other trailers in the area?
There's one lot down south of me on the other side of the road. They went through the same process, and I see that they recently took it away for the winter.
Is there a new driveway that's needed for this? No?
I don't even know if you call it a driveway, but there's a certain area you can pull right off the road there.
Is this property any managed forest land?
No.
Do you have a uniform property address number?
I've got the legal address, but there's not actually an address that I've been able to find, like a fire code number, and I don't have one of those.
If an approval is granted, when would you place the trailer up there?
Tomorrow. I'd like to get hunting.
That's all I've got.
Any other committee questions? Russell or Fred? Bob? Okay, thank you very much, Todd. Correspondence, anyone in favor or objecting?
Yes, we received 2 letters on October 19th addressed to the Planning and Zoning Committee members. Our family received notice of a request for a conditional use permit on a parcel of property adjoining our land. We respectfully request that the permit be denied. We see no benefit to the township, county, or the local neighbors. There are several reasons for our position. Number 1, will it enhance the landscape or aesthetics of the county? No. The site is located just west of Curtis Lake. A small stream meanders through the parcel, complementing the landscape. The proposed site can be easily seen from County Highway B. The site can be seen from an adjoining neighbor's primary residence. Overall, the presence of a mobile camper and other potential associated items, porta potty and other miscellaneous lawn furnishings, will litter the general landscape, which is in plain sight of passersby. Number 2, are there any future advantages to the county or community? No. Given the lower marsh topography of the parcel, it doesn't appear the site would support a permanent dwelling or like structure. eliminating the opportunity for future tax incentives for the township and county. Campers are considered real property and will likely avert any future tax requirements. An exception made in this situation could create a dangerous precedence. 3, would this be consistent with past practices of this committee? No. A neighboring property owner near this site along County Highway B had a mobile camper which was also in plain sight of passersby and was required to remove it. Number 4, are there more reasonable options? Yes, there are several beneficial options in nearby communities. Our local business owners strive to provide the ideal services and quality amenities for these situations. Richford, 1 mile hotel accommodations, McCann River Inn. Coloma, approximately 5 miles, hotel and campground accommodations, Coloma Hotel, Coloma Camperland. Dakota, approximately 10 miles, campground accommodations, Lake of the Woods Campground. We thank you for your consideration in this matter and reaffirm our substantiated request for denial of this permit. That's signed sincerely, Darrell Fensky, Treasurer, Fensky Farms, LLC.
Daniel.
Oh, Daniel Fensky, sorry. I know.
He is, it's,
Yeah, if he is, we got a problem.
Daniel Fensky. And the second letter, also received on October 19th, addressed to the Planning and Zoning Committee members. I was recently made aware of a request for a conditional use permit on a parcel of property just west of my residence. We respectfully request that the permit be denied. We see no benefit to the township, county, or the neighboring property owners. There are several reasons for our objection. The site is in plain view of other permanent property owners. The location of the site is easily viewable by passersby on County Highway B. The presence of a camper and other related items would severely diminish the landscape. We do not see any current or future benefit to the county, township, or community. Allowing this permit would be inconsistent with prior decisions by the committee and/or the zoning department, and approving this permit would likely create an adverse precedence. There are other reasonable alternatives for the landowner. As a small business owner, allowing our local campground or hotel owners to benefit from these types of dynamics is our safest and most reasonable option. And that's signed sincerely, Robert K. Bennett, B-E-N-N-O-T, sorry. And that's it for correspondence, and no one
No one in
registered.
favor of objecting? Staff comments?
Again, remember that the committee's reviewed all the data and actually visited the site. I'd like to explain a little bit about conditional use permits right now. All defined zones have uses that are permitted outright, such as building a home in the residential zone or having a barn and farm animals in the agricultural zone. In addition, there are uses that may be permitted provided certain conditions can be met. And that's what we're looking at here, a use that may be permitted provided that certain parameters can be complied with so the use remains in keeping with the surrounding uses and area. Some examples of these are a dog kennel, the unoccupied storage of a travel trailer on vacant property, non-metallic mining permits, or a home-based business in our rural agriculturally zoned areas. In some counties, these permits are called special exception permits. It is the landowner's responsibility to provide the information that shows the committee this use is still in keeping with the zone and area it is proposed for, and that the conditions placed on it will ensure that it will be a good neighbor to the surrounding property owners. When the committee visited the property, they noted that proper sanitary facilities are proposed, that the unit should have a fire number assigned if placement is approved so that emergency response can get there. That there should be some kind of buffer to screen the unit from the public road, especially during winter months when the leaves are off the trees. And that if the unit was not here year-round, the visibility could be an issue. To provide some further background on travel trailer conditional use permits, I should tell you that there are between 70 and 80 of these units that have been approved and are placed in Waushara County by conditional use permit. And that the committee did just approve that one less than a mile south of this request within the last year. So to say there is a precedence being set here is really not an accurate statement. This has happened before. It's happened for a number of years, and we have a lot of them out there. I truly believe that if the unit meets the code requirements and the landowner can comply with the conditions noted in the code, then the permit should be granted. In this case, it appears to me that the conditions have been met, and the only thing left is the screening of the unit so that it's not visible from the public road or the neighboring property owners. And required annual inspections will ensure that it remains in keeping with those code requirements. That's it for my comments.
Is there anything you'd like to add, Todd? Come up here and speak into the mic, please?
Not on most of it. Cost $7 a foot to run power. So when I first looked at it, I wanted to save, but that doesn't look good out on the road. And so I kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And I pushed it as far back off I could go without hitting the wetlands. So my intent is to keep it, I don't want clutter. I'm not gonna have lawn chairs. When hunting season's done, it's gonna get pulled out of there. As far as our comments to local businesses, I know quite a few of them and spend quite a bit of money up here. And if I can't do this, I'm not going to spend any. So I want to be a part of this community, and I think a lot of the businesses do benefit from it. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Todd. Okay, that concludes that application.
You don't mind if we leave?
No.
There's a Packer game or something.
We were
Thank
looking for
you.
a TV in here, we haven't found one yet. Thank you. Next application that we will hear tonight, Monroe Schmucker, Watoma, Wisconsin, has made application for conditional use in accordance with sections 58-236, paragraph 22, and 58-454, paragraph 34 of the Waushara County Zoning Code to establish a woodworking shop as a home-based business, utilizing an existing 44 by 24 accessory structure with a proposed 34 by 10 and a 9 by 10 additions in an AG3 agricultural zone, 3-acre minimum parcel. Location, a 5.53-acre parcel of land known as Lot 1 of Certified Survey Map number 4896, being part of the northeast quarter of the northwest quarter, Section 11, Town 18 North, Range 9 East, Town of Richford. Fire number N2051 11th Drive. Applicant present? You want to come forward, Monroe? I know you were quite comfortable there. You really didn't want to. Can you kind of tell us what you're going to do there, Monroe? I think we pretty much know, but.
Old kitchen cabinets, caskets.
Some committee questions for you here,
Yeah,
Monroe?
we got a few. You'll have to talk into the microphone then to answer them. Has there been a recent survey done, Monroe?
Oh. Probably at least 5 years ago.
You do know where the lot lines are, though?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You described the process. You want to build cabinets and such woodworking. How much traffic do you anticipate? For example, deliveries of materials or the picked up product, and what size vehicles would be coming and how often?
Oh, about once a month. The delivery truck for the lumber would be a straight job, panel truck.
Will there be any employees outside of the immediate family?
Wife.
That's immediate. Does the public come here for any reason, or is most of your work custom and then delivered to the customer?
All custom.
All custom work. What sort of traffic will there be, and what sort of parking might you need for the people that bring their plans or?
The driveway there, it's just, I do approximately, I don't know, I think I got 5 kitchens on there per year, so there's not going to be a lot of parking.
Are you planning an advertising sign?
No, never
Oh.
have.
Okay. What sort of sanitary facilities are you planning for the business or the shop? Just
Nothing.
use the house? Okay.
I mean, there's so few of them that, and if somebody needs to go, we got the house. So.
Are you aware of the state building codes if the public enters your shop, and will they be met?
Yes.
Are there any other state codes that you are aware of that you would need to comply with?
No.
Can you describe the addition we seen when we were out there that you're adding on to a little bit onto the shed? Is that just,
Wherever the concrete was there,
that's it? And a roof matching the other roof? And
so sloping roof up to the other one.
okay. Are there any floor drains planned in the building? And if so, how will these wastes be disposed of?
No, no drains.
Are there any other additions or buildings planned other than what you've indicated on the site plan?
No,
Are you planning on a new driveway just for the business?
no,
Do you need a separate fire number for the business?
no.
Okay, if an approval is granted, when would you make the improvements or the necessary improvements?
About half done
Before winter then?
before.
Okay. That's all the questions I have, Mr. Chairman.
You'll have that done if your wife can help you then?
She helps me with the roof.
Just a question for you, Monroe. You were in the shed right next to the house, or in that you had your woodworking in there.
In my old shop?
Yeah, in your old shop. Okay, okay, and now you're moving from the old one because your son-in-law?
My
is-
son-in-law bought the other one.
Okay, just so I,
Mm-hmm.
any questions from for Monroe from the committee? Russell, Mike? Fred? Nope. Okay, thank you, Monroe.
Thank you.
Correspondence?
We have no correspondence and no one registered to speak.
Staff comments?
Another conditional use permit. When the committee visited the property, they noted that if the public enters the building or the applicant has employees that are not family members, that commercial codes will need to be met. However, if the public traffic is casual and they just drop off plans and do not enter the building, it's possible a commercial building permit would not be required. The applicant should check with the building inspector to see. Sometimes those codes are difficult to meet. They wondered if the applicant would want a separate address for the business, depending on the business practices. And other than those items noted by the committee, I think this is probably a pretty relatively low-impact business and should not pose issues for the neighbors, the surrounding land uses, or the town. So that's it for my comments.
Okay, that concludes that application. There's no rebuttal because he left.
I see that.
Packer gang, yeah, I'll bet on that one.
That was the rebuttal.
Okay, the next application we'll hear tonight, Jeff and Doreen Rooks, Fremont, Wisconsin. Doreen Abraham, landowner, have made application for a conditional use in accordance with sections 58-236, paragraph 22, and 58-454, paragraph 34 of the Waushara County zoning code to establish a home-based business consisting of small engine, lawn, and power sports equipment sales, service, and repair with proposed construction of a 45 by 80 building with a 12 by 30-foot overhang in an AG general agricultural zone. Location, a proposed approximate 21.5-acre parcel of land being W west half of the northwest quarter of the northeast quarter and the north 175 feet of Lot 1 of Certified Survey Map number 6394, Section 24, Town 20 North, Range 13 East, Town of Bloomfield, Fire number 9601436 Drive. Please don't ask me to read this again. Is the applicant present? Would you come forward, please? Jeff, can you tell us what you're going to kind of do?
Well, we'd like to put up a new building for small engine repair. Seems to be a need in the area. So I would like to put up a new building and get, I know we're going to have some septic stuff and other things. We've had perk tests done to make sure that we're good there. I guess as far as that goes, traffic-wise, we're probably not going to have a whole heck of a lot of traffic. UPS trucks a couple of times a week, probably. Semis almost never, once, twice a year, maybe. As far as foot traffic coming in, I would expect that to be relatively sporadic and light. As far as I know, my neighbors are pretty good with everything. But I guess we'll find that out as we go. I don't know. I guess at that point, I guess I'm ready for you to throw some questions at me.
Committee questions, please?
I've got some stock questions. Jeff, has there been a recent survey?
On the property right next to ours there are, so I do know where the lot lines and things are.
You know where they are. The lot lines are
Absolutely.
identified, okay. Could you describe the proposed business in more detail? For instance, sales, service, trade-ins, types of equipment?
Mostly what it's gonna be is small engine repair. At some point, we might do sales. Mostly it's gonna be parts and service. It's gonna be small engines. We do some snowmobiles, we do some jet skis, some ATVs, scooters. I also weld and do machine shop work as well. For the most part, it's gonna be small engine stuff.
Okay. Will there be any employees outside of the immediate family?
Not at this time. We don't have that in the works, but, maybe someday, who knows, but not now.
Okay. What sort of traffic will there be, and what sort of parking will you need? I'm talking about on a daily basis.
Well, like I said in the introduction here, that the traffic I expect to be sporadic, light. Parking-wise, we'll have some parking facilities because there's probably going to be people that'll leave stuff that I can't put inside. Personally, I'd like to keep everything inside and out of sight of everything. Sometimes that's impossible. So then there would have to be some parking behind the building or whatever for that sort of thing.
Okay, and so it sounds as though you're doing a lot of varied types of machinery. Some of that is seasonal, right?
That is correct.
So depending on the season there, or is it going to be pretty much throughout the year because of the variety of equipment?
Well, I think the traffic-wise, it'll be pretty much the same all year round, just because we do a variety of different things. When one thing kind of gets slow, the next thing will pick up a little bit. So I think it'll be fairly steady. Well, there again, too, a lot of that depends upon the weather.
Okay, and since people are bringing machinery in, and they must be having that on trailers,
Sometimes,
is that going to be workable in the area that you have for parking?
I would think so.
Okay. Is there an advertising sign being planned?
We have a small sign at this point. Somewheres down the road, I would like to put a lighted sign out front. But we're not thinking about that right now.
Yeah, the sign was fairly near the road over to the left of the property.
Right,
Okay. Are you aware of the state building codes and other state requirements, and will they be met?
Yeah, we actually, the guy that I have looking into doing the building for me has done a lot of research into looking into what certain codes we're gonna have to meet to make this a doable operation.
Okay. How far above existing grade will the first floor elevation be of your building, and how much filling and grading will be done?
I can't say that exactly, but I can imagine it being pretty much, I think it's gonna be pretty much on grade. So I think it's gonna be pretty much, I don't think there's gonna be a whole lot of filling or grading done there.
Yeah, it's a nice level patch there. There's no obstructions. What sort of sanitary facilities are you planning?
Well, I'm going to have at least one bathroom in there. We might have to have two depending upon the state plans. That's in the works right now. Whatever they say, that's what it's going to be. But we have done the perk test. That has came out. We can go conventional or with a tank. We're exploring our options as far as the financial end of that goes, what's going to be better for us. But either one at this point would, work.
Yep, okay. Are there any floor drains planned in the building, and if so, how will these wastes be disposed of?
The only floor drains that I'm aware of, according to the state plans that I know of, is we have to have them wherever there's a bathroom. So that would be into the sanitary.
Okay. Are there any other additions or buildings planned other than what you've indicated on your site plan? Will all activities be inside, no business or products stored outside, visible?
The plan is to try to keep everything inside.
And if products are stored outside, and I think you mentioned something about it, the buildings would be shielding them from the road when we were out there. I think you mentioned that.
Yep.
Can you describe where they would be and what facilities would be out there?
Well, more than likely, what would be stored outside would be empty trailers, which would be stored probably behind the building. And honestly, that would probably be very few, if any. I'm sure there's going to be some from time to time, but it's not the norm.
Would that most likely involve vehicles, repaired vehicles, or equipment that is coming or going?
Well, we don't do vehicles, so it would be, it might be a jet ski on a trailer or a snowmobile on a trailer. There again, though, we don't fix them on the trailers. We pretty much got to have them off and
Yeah.
into the shop in order to work on them.
Do you ever scrap out any old or damaged equipment, and can you describe what happens in these cases?
Yes, I do. And when we get rid of, I have several different people that I call that scrap stuff out. They take it. When they go with it, they imagine they get money for it at some point when they do whatever they do with it. But I don't like stuff laying around, so we try to get it gone and out of there pretty much right away.
And those people are readily available? They would be able to pick up equipment?
Just give them a phone call, and they're there in a day or two usually.
Are you planning a new driveway?
Right now, the way the property sits, with the conditional use, I really can't get a driveway on that property. I would have to reparcel that, which I would like to do at some point. So I guess for right now, no, but I would like to get that a new certified survey map and it reparceled at that point.
Okay. And if they're going to use the current driveway, that seems like a fine driveway, and all they'd have to do is get into the driveway and take a turn to the right and be over where your building is. And
That's correct.
parking, it would be over that direction.
That's correct.
Okay, do you need a new fire number?
Well, I would like a fire number on that, but there again, from what I understand, I need a driveway to work off of to get a fire number. So I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah.
They could give you a summary sign with both the existing and then the new building on it. You talk to your town board, or maybe zoning does that, I don't know, zoning. It's called a summary sign, both numbers would be on, and you'd have one for your house and one for the business, I believe. So you could get one that way if you needed it.
That would be nice, or if it worked out where I could actually get the place surveyed at some point and
Right.
just go that route and have it reparceled.
Okay, and if an approval is granted, when would you make any improvements necessary to start your operation?
Well, I suppose not until after I get all the permits I need.
Good answer.
Yeah. Indeterminate.
You just scored big time with the zoning
Correct
administrator.
answer.
Those are all the questions I have.
Is there any other committee questions? Russell, do you have anything?
If you overhaul engines or do something like that, what are you going to do with the used oil that you take out of those engines?
That's a good question. I have an answer for you. I have some friends that actually burn waste oil, and I take approximately 55 gallons a year to them, give them my full barrel, they give me an empty, and we just make a swap about once a year.
Good. And I don't assume you have any antifreeze because you're not doing automobiles, you're doing small engines and jet skis and snowmobiles, so no antifreeze.
Very, very little. Every once in a while you see, and I'll be honest with you, every once in a while you see a lawnmower that has a radiator on it.
Water-cooled.
Yep.
Okay.
So you do see it, very, very rare, but I do see it.
Oil is the most important thing, I thought, too. So.
Yep.
Anything, Mike? Nope. Brett or Bob?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Correspondence?
We have several letters. One from the town board was received on October 12th. It's It's addressed to the County Board of Adjustment, but it's really for you. At our regular town board meeting on October 3rd, we discussed the conditional use application made by Jeff and Doreen Rux to establish a home-based business consisting of small engine, lawn, and power sports equipment sales, service, and repair, with proposed construction of a 45-foot by 80-foot building with a 12-foot by 30-foot overhang in the AG zone. After reviewing the plans and discussing any impacts it might have, we voted unanimously to approve the conditional use application made, thinking it will be a real asset to our township having it there. We hope the board feels the same way when they make their decision. And that's signed sincerely, Mark Stibbs, Town of Bloomfield Chairman. And we have a letter to whom it may concern. I am writing to support the request of Rux Performance Motorsports Incorporated to put a new building for their business in the vicinity of N5980 and N6014 36 Drive. I do not envision any harm to the area. Thank you for considering my opinion and your decision. And that's signed Eric R. Reese, R-I-E-S-E. And then we have a bunch of letters that are the same, so I'm going to read it once, and then I'm going to tell you all the names.
Thanks.
To whom it may concern, I'm writing to support the request of Rux Performance Motorsports Incorporated to put up a new building for the business in the vicinity of N5980 and N6014 36 Drive. I do not envision any harm to the area. To the contrary, it would be a benefit to the community to have a small engine business so conveniently located. Thank you for considering my opinion and your decision. And that was signed by Laura Coombs.
Just give me the list.
I can do that, but I should read them first.
Okay.
Laura Coombs, Dawn Johnson, Daryl Johnson, Chuck Van Evenhoven, Kimberly Van Evenhoven, Christopher C. Toney, Scott Sashi, Deanne Garkey, Robert Nemeth, Larry Boehm, Steve Massaros, Timothy Lokowitz, Jerome Lind, Don E. Enter, Richard Wendt, David Schmidt, Paul Coombs, Bob Lentz, and Greg Freer. Got a copy.
Can I just put the attached copy? No, you need that for yours.
Do you want me to make a copy?
Okay. Yes, boss.
We'll let you catch up.
And that's it for correspondence.
No one registered
No
in
one
favor of
registered.
objecting? Staff comments, please.
So here we have another conditional use. We've had a variety of conditional uses tonight. Again, it's the landowner's responsibility to provide the information that's going to show the committee this use is still in keeping with the zone and area it is proposed for, and that the conditions placed on it will ensure it will be a good neighbor to the surrounding landowners. When the committee visited the property, they noted that the current operation is very neat and clean, and that the traffic on this road is low volume, and that if the operation follows their own testimony and applicable rules, it should remain a good neighbor to the surrounding land uses. Also, a separate address number for the business is currently at the discretion of the applicant since there is a home on the parcel already. This one is fairly straightforward, and I think the committee has really covered everything, so that's it for my comments.
Is there anything else the applicant would like to tell us? Okay, thank you, Jeff. Okay, the next application and final application. Jeremy Gabori, New London, Wisconsin, has made application for a conditional use in accordance with sections 58-236, paragraph 11, and 58-454, paragraph 35 of the Waushara County Zoning Code to place a 2011 Champion 16 by 68 mobile home, existing mobile home to be raised in the AG General Agricultural Zone within the shoreland area. Location: a parcel of land being part of Government Lot 3, also known as Lot 18 of an unrecorded survey, Section 26, Town 20 North, Range 11 East, Town of Springwater, Coosel Lake, Fire Number W5459, Archer Lane. The applicant present? You want to come forward, please? State your name for the record, Jeremy?
Jeremy Gabry.
Okay, we're just going to hold up here a second. The secretary's a little slow.
Anybody else can do it.
the administrative.
I know it's better than yours.
I'm thinking that'd be a good idea, Russell. Next time we have such a long list, could I get a copy in advance to staple?
I will try to
Thank
do
you.
that.
No.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Chair.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit what you plan on doing it, Jeremy? Sorry for the wait.
Oh, no problem. I purchased the property last year. It has an old mobile home on it that is in pretty bad shape. My mother is aging and I am an only child, so I'm wanting to move her, the mobile home that I purchased for her, onto that property so she's closer to me so I can take care of her since I plan on living, well, I own the property next door also, and that's my permanent residence.
Okay. Committee questions? Russell?
Yeah. Has there been a recent survey of the property?
There's a survey on file, and then I did have a survey done of my property at 5463 Archer when I purchased that about 6 years ago.
Do you know where the lot lines are?
Yes, I do.
Can you describe the home that you're planning on putting in the place of the other home?
It's newer. It's 2011. She purchased it brand new. It's currently located in a park in New London. It has vinyl siding, vinyl windows. It has a metal roof on it already, which is brown. It's not, and the mobile home itself is a taupe color, brownish color, so it's very neutral.
Do you plan any additions or alterations to the home after it's parked?
Other than putting some stairs to it, no.
Are there any other buildings planned in addition to the home?
Possibly a carport.
What type of foundation will the home be placed on?
I would like to hire somebody to move it, and I would have to have their recommendation. I believe it's a concrete slab that it has to go on.
You already answered this question, that the home is in New London at this time.
Correct.
Do you have pictures of the home accurately represent its current conditions?
Yes, I included
I think
those.
we have those in our packet.
Yep.
We can-
And those were taken recently.
Have you had any survey work done to know where the flood elevation is?
I have not.
Will you be able to flood-proof the home if it was required to?
Yes. What the plan was is to actually build it up higher than the existing mobile home. I've talked to the neighbors, and the mobile home that's there has never flooded, but the water has actually came underneath the front of it before when the lake was really high. So what the plan would be is to raise the new one up so it wouldn't actually go touch the bottom of the mobile home if the water ever did get that high.
Have you considered what erosion control measures you will need during the placement of the home?
I would leave that up to the contractor and whatever the permits are. And
What do you intend to do to help with the stormwater runoff from the new home and the existing driveway to the west after the construction is complete?
really, it wouldn't change because nothing's really changing at the lot.
Have you thought about revegetating your shoreline?
Yes.
Is the new driveway needed because of the existing driveway will be taken up by the new septic system? Do you plan to share with the lot to the west, the driveway?
Yes.
So will you be drafting an easement or some other document to ensure that the driveway access is secure for the new home and the existing home?
Yes.
Just hold up a minute, Russell. Go ahead, Terry.
Well, I think he just answered it, because you said you didn't need to do anything with the old driveway, but the septic system's gonna go there, so I didn't want you driving on it. So now you're saying you're gonna share with the one to the west.
Well, there's going to be room still at the top of the hill where the existing driveway is to park one vehicle. The septic won't be coming that close to the road. So there still is, we could still use that existing driveway. My mom has a small vehicle and I have a 3-car garage, so she would take one of the garage stalls in my garage.
But heaven forbid, something happens and you decide that you wanna sell it or whatever.
They
you
would
know.
have to use the existing driveway for that property by the septic system at the top of the hill.
But they can't go over the septic system.
It wouldn't go over the septic system.
Would it
And you just said that you'd be willing to have an easement so that it would be shared with
If we
with
had
the
to go that
concrete driveway. Okay.
Would that easement still be in existence if you sold the mobile home?
Yes.
Or would you stop the easement at that point in time and make them use a different drive?
My neighbors that owned that always used my driveway anyway, and there was no easement in place, so I really have no issue with that.
Well, new neighbors make new rules and regulations, so, okay. Will a new address number be needed?
Nope, it already has one.
Has a soil test been taken, and what type of septic system will it indicate?
It has been tested, and it would be a conventional system.
If an approval is given, when do you anticipate the home will be placed?
It would be spring.
I have.
Any questions, Mike or Fred or Bob? Okay, thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Correspondence?
Regarding this application, we have one from the Town Board of Springwater. To whom it may concern, the Town of Springwater Board of Supervisors has no objections to granting a variance to Jeremy Gabbery, Lot 18 of an unrecorded survey, Section 26, Town 20 North, Range 11 East, Town of Springwater, Coosa Lake, W5459 Archer Lane, to place a dwelling on a nonconforming lot, and to Jeremy Gaburi, same location, for a conditional use permit for the same dwelling. That signed, thank you, Everett Eckstein, Chairman, Town of Springwater Board of Supervisors.
Anyone objecting or
Nope, no one registered to
staff
speak.
comments, please?
So, our final conditional use permit, when the committee visited the property, they noted that if all codes and regulations are followed, that this home will be an asset to the neighborhood rather than a detraction, and will improve living conditions of the occupant of the home, and it will also improve probably the living conditions of the neighborhood. They also noted that the driveway issues must be resolved to protect both the current and future owners, and that it does appear that stormwater runoff should be addressed here. This appears to be a fairly straightforward request. It's an old home, it's gonna be replaced with a new home, but it's much newer, in much better condition. The landowners wish to upgrade the current home with a newer one. Because it is not brand new, that's why we're here. A conditional use permit is required to ensure that it is an improvement on the old home, and that the condition of home after placement and all the work that is done to comply with codes is to a near new condition and appearance. And I think the landowners have addressed those questions adequately. So that's it.
Anything you'd like to add, Jeremy? Okay. That concludes the applicants for the planning and zoning. We will now conduct our business meeting in room 263, which is right outside the door. You're all welcome to attend. And I'd like to thank the Board of Adjustments chairman for letting us go first so we can go watch the Packer game. Thanks a lot. It's your fault, Roger.
We'll be thinking about you guys, though.
I know.
It's really nice. Yeah, but didn't he have a plat of survey of that? I think he's had a plat of survey. I don't know for sure. Yep. Applicants.
Oh, I thought you threw my voucher.
No, it's right there.
Committee all set?
I'm ready.
Yep. Haley?
I think so.
Call this meeting of the Waushara County Board of Adjustments to order. This meeting will be conducted in the same manner as the applications heard by the Planning and Zoning Committee. Please remember to keep your comments brief and relative to the matter at hand. The time The same time limits will apply to testimony, which is 5 minutes for the applicant, outside of committee questions, and 3 minutes for other testimony, including any rebuttal by the applicant. Anyone other than the applicant or the representative wishing to speak at this hearing must have registered. Anyone who has not should do so immediately and submit the registration slip to the zoning administrator. The committee has looked at all the properties, and the record will reflect these observations. Following the public hearing, the board will conduct the monthly business meeting, at which time we will vote on the applications. You may stay and hear how the applications are decided, or you may leave following the public hearing. Any person affected by an administrative decision of this committee has 10 days from the filing of tonight's decision to file an appeal. Such appeals are heard by the Waushara County Circuit Court. Information on appeals is available from the clerk of court's office and qualified legal counsel. The county assumes no liability and makes no warranty as legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of this 30-day period. I'll introduce the rest of the committee. To my left are Larry Kim, Kevin Fitzgerald, John Benz, John Zerk. My name is Roger Wagner. So first one to be heard tonight is Stephen. This one?
Yep.
We're doing a little switching because we've got the same fellow that was in the other variance conditional use coming up. Stephen J. and Pamela A. Searing, Elm Grove, Wisconsin, have made an application for variance in accordance with section 58-542, section C, section 2 of the Waushara County Zoning Code to retain a covered walkway coming to within 10 feet of the easterly side lot line, 15-foot setback required in the RS-20 residential single-family zone within the shoreland area. Location an approximate .398 acre parcel of land known as Lot 1, Certified Survey Map number 158, Section 2, Town of Mount Morris, Hills Lake, W5653, Youngs Lane. Is the applicant present? Come forward, please. Stephen, would you state your name for the record?
Name's Stephen Searing.
Okay. You want to tell us a little bit how this happened to come in existence?
Well, 4 years ago, I applied and received a variance to build a new house on the lot. At that time, we built the house and everything was fine as far as in compliance with the variance. We took down the second floor of a boathouse. We removed decking from the shoreline. We have a metal roof on the house. And we learned rather quickly that around here, the snow off of the roof will fall, and it fell directly on the entryway to the house. And that's why then the extension was put on. We did request immediately when we put the deck on that we learned the walkway was fine. And so we just assumed after the fact that, putting the extension of the roof, the overhang, wouldn't have been any problem since the walkway was just fine. Right now, it's a matter of being able to access the property after the first snow. Without that overhang, you cannot access the property at all. And if anybody is there when that snow falls, it will, I can't imagine anybody would survive if the snow fell on top of them when it released. I've never had a metal roof before, but I'll tell you the first time it happened to me when I was in there, I jumped off of the couch. The snow comes off, and when it deposits itself, it's no longer snow. It becomes chunks of ice.
Just a few general questions then. Has there been a recent survey out there?
Not since we built the place, no. 4 years ago.
You know where the lot lines are, though?
Yes.
You talked to the neighbors and the town board about this?
Yes, you should have a letter from the neighbors saying they have absolutely no objection.
Okay. What type of foundation supports the roofed walkway addition? And any supports on it, or all is it just attached to the overhang?
Just attached to the overhang.
Are they on, is it on the concrete, or is it in the dirt, the 4x4s that hold it up? Or is that just a drain spout that comes down?
That's just gutter
Okay.
that came down. There's nothing other than, it was built as part of the roof. There's nothing coming from the ground up that supports it.
Okay. You do have drain spouts on there as far as stormwater runoff?
Yes?
Any other improvements planned at this time?
Not at all.
There was a new septic system installed at the time, is that correct?
No, the existing septic was, the existing septic was about 10, 12 years old.
Okay.
Prior to building it, but that was all approved as far as being adequate. It's only a 3-bedroom house.
Covered walkway doesn't interfere with it in any way, shape, or manner?
Nope, septic goes out the back.
Okay. Have you thought any more about dealing with the wood seawalls along your shoreline?
Been trying to, yes. I don't know if it's this board or if it's DNR, but yeah, I would like to get a riprap on there, but I don't know if those are, I agree, I would like to do something with that.
That is DNR.
DNR.
So, have you considered any other options, such as having your entrance in a different location, or using stoppers or anything like that on the roof to prevent the snow from sliding down?
There's no way of relocating the entrance at all, anywhere on the property. I mean, there's bedrooms on the other side of the house and in the back. I don't see any way of being able to, like
You do have access out the front, though. You got 2 accesses, right?
Right. The very front, but that would require you walking from the garage all the way around to the lake and back in, and then you're going to be going through all of the snow also.
Any other committee questions?
Just quickly, if you don't have any posts holding that overhang up, is there some sort of a rafter arrangement that's hooked on the house to hold that roof up there? The roof isn't hanging out there without some support, is it?
It was tied all the way back into the roof. As far as, it was the original builder, who was actually my neighbor, who put it up.
So after your first winter and you realized all that was there, he came back and he retied that in somehow?
He said he took, the fascia off and then put 2x6s.
So there's something holding that metal up there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He took the whole side of fascia board.
Sure.
I'm not a contractor, but he took all of that out and he opened it all up, and then he put everywhere there was a rafter, I think that's what you call them, the rafter that comes down, he put the 2x6, and he said he put it up about 4 feet.
Good.
And then tied it in, and then put more metal roof on top, and put the fascia back, and then put the gutters back.
Good, thanks.
Any other questions? You can have a chair then, Steve. Any correspondence?
We do have one note dated August 9th. To whom it may concern, I have no objection to the new roof line on Steve Searing's home, and that's signed Dorothy Bodecker, Boedeker, and she is at W5649 Youngs Lane, which I believe is the property to the east, which would be the affected property owner.
Okay.
No one registered.
No one registered. Staff comments?
For the record, this board has previously been furnished with a copy of the site plan and all the data for this application that they're considering tonight, and all the other ones that are coming behind it. They also visited all the properties and viewed the proposals on site. Of course, at this time, I'm going to explain a little bit about variances for people that may not know. Variances ask for a relaxation of a dimensional standard in the code. It's a setback, it's a height, it's something like that. It's a dimensional standard. The decision to grant a variance must be backed by substantive reasons, which include, number one, that the code is unnecessarily burdensome and the landowner is not able to enact a permitted use without a relaxation of that dimensional standard. Number two, there are unique limitations on the property that prevent the landowner from meeting the required dimensional standard. And three, if the variance is granted, no harm will be done to the public interest or the zoning code. It is the applicant's responsibility to present the case and provide that burden of proof as to why the variance should be granted. The personal situation of the applicant, financial hardship, convenience, a growing family, nearby violations, none of these can be considered as a valid reason to grant a variance. When the board visited the property, they noted that the walkway has already been constructed and that the mitigation measures required for the first variance to build the home are in place and appear to be well maintained. The seawalls are still of concern, but those come under the jurisdiction of DNR, so any resolution of that issue would need to involve that agency, and it's not zoning. After the variances are always hard. I tend to advise the board that they need to think of this in the terms that the covered walkway is not already there. And, would you still consider the variance based on its merits? And one other way to look at it, because there was just another variance here and the lot is quite narrow, would you have approved this on the original variance if they had included it on the house plan? So it's kind of like divorce yourself from the situation that it's after the fact, and how would you act on it with a clean slate? That's it for my comments.
Okay, the next variance to be considered, Arthur and Judy Sanger, Joint Revocable Trust, Madison, Wisconsin, have made an application for variance in accordance with section 58-235, paragraph 5, paragraph B, and 58-542, paragraph C, paragraph 2, of the Waushara County Zoning Code to construct a 12 by 30 two-story addition on a basement with a 9 by 6 foot covered porch and a 7 by 6 foot open deck, existing 19 by 13 deck to be removed, coming to within 9 feet of the westerly side lot line, and a 30 by 30 second story addition on the existing dwelling, exceeding 25% of the additions and repairs allowed to an existing non-conforming single-family dwelling, non-conforming due to side lot setback in the RS-20 residential single-family zone within the shoreline area. Location an approximate .34 acre parcel of land known as Lot 1, Certified Survey Map number 2762, and Lot 2 of Certified Survey Map number 3304, Section 6, Town of Marion, Silver Lake, W. 7176, Chicago Point Road. The applicant present? Would you come forward, please? State your name for the record.
My name is Art Sanger, and Jeff Weiss is going to help speak with me here. So,
okay.
Could I have that name, last name again?
Wise, W-I-S-E, Wise Construction.
And the first name?
Jeff.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything to add, or otherwise I've just got some general questions? Questions?
No, I don't have any.
Questions are great.
Okay. Is there a recent survey out there, and are you sure of the lot lines?
Yes.
The markers have been established and everything? Okay. Do you know what happened during the home construction and how it ended up being non-conforming due to side yard?
No.
How long have you owned the property?
Since 2010.
And about how old is the home?
2003 is what I find in the paperwork.
What type of foundation will this addition be on?
Poured concrete.
Okay. And how far above existing grade you're going to match the first floor elevation? Okay. Final height is going to be about what? Below the 35 foot? Okay. on the bump out on the second story on either the roadside or the lake side?
No, Roger, that bump out that showed up on the elevation drawings that I gave you folks is not going to be put on there. But it's what we had at this point till we go to final plan. So it's going to be straight. It will not exceed out any further than the 12-foot addition towards the road.
Okay. How will you deal with stormwater runoff and potential erosion from the addition?
Same as now with gutters and such.
Any other improvements planned at this time? All other setbacks will be met? You thought about adding any additional vegetation between the home and the lake to meet current vegetation standards?
That is all vegetated at this point, so we didn't.
Have you thought of any other options like flipping the plan?
We did, Roger, but all the utilities are out on that end, and then we have that with the public safety thing with that parking area. We don't want to, that's the only parking area.
Okay.
I don't understand that.
On that end, the opposite end of where the addition's going, where the concrete is, the utilities go in there, the gas and the electric. And so that would be all disturbed by our addition. And that area would be, we would be putting a 12-foot by 30-foot addition there, which would come out and it would take away the parking, a lot of that parking area and turnaround area to pull out of the garage and drive out onto Chicago Point Road without being a hindrance to traffic on the road. This way, the addition will be between the existing garage and the existing home and won't affect that area at all.
Usually when we deal with smaller lots, we have this problem. But when you have room to put something on where you have room to put it, there's really no need for variance in.
Well, it was still a non-conforming lot because we're not going, it was non-conforming before we started because it was within 11 feet.
It's an illegal structure.
Correct, which we didn't, that's something that might.
It's a two-part variance. The one to make the house right, and then there's the one for the for your addition. But you have, once the house is made right, there's room to put your addition on this side without a variance.
Correct. Is there with the 25% rule because it's two-story?
It's really not a non-conforming structure. It is an illegal structure, and part of the variance, Kevin's right. The first part of the variance is just to make it a legal structure, to grant a variance for the old house being placed in the wrong position. And then the second part of the variance is for the addition. So
This is different one for me, Kevin.
it's been hard for staff to understand
Yeah.
too, because it's kind of a new problem and way of thinking about things. We're running into this a lot with shoreland properties, so.
But we gave great thought to putting it on the other end of the house, if that's what you're getting at, and it impacted, it just didn't work either. Also, the main part of the house, where the addition is going is where the kitchen and everything else is now. It's all bedrooms on the other end, so can it be done? Absolutely, but it just was not very feasible.
All of your utilities are on the opposite end too, and you know where the sewer, is that gonna be any problem?
No, that goes in down there too. Then there's also that outside entrance.
Is that a basement or a crawl space, or what
That's
is
a
it?
full basement or a 9-foot basement, and that's an egress, that other, I don't know if you saw the Bilco doors there. That is a regular concrete staircase going down there as well, so. That would impact all that stuff, and the existing has bedrooms down there.
Is there no inside entrance to the basement?
Yes, there is, inside, and then the other one, but we need two for they have bedrooms down there. So then, it would, and that's, Art and Judy, they bought it like that, and assumed that it was all, because it was only put in 2003. And the fellow put it in there, assured zoning that it would meet the setbacks, and I think what happened is he got his basement in there, but he didn't have a surveyor come and mark the walls, but there was plenty of room to do it properly. And that was not me.
Well, and that tends to happen a lot. People like to line up with the lake rather than their lot lines. happens
Bingo.
too.
Any other committee questions? Okay, thank you. Let's have a seat. Correspondence?
We have quite a few. We have a letter received October 17th to the Washera County Zoning Board. I own the property at W7163 Chicago Point Road, which is across the street and one house to the left of Art and Judy Sanger. I am writing regarding the request for a variance on their property scheduled for Thursday, October 20th. I am in favor of and have no objections to the variance being granted. That's signed sincerely Bud Fenner, Fenner. Another one received on October 14th to the Washera County Zoning Board. We own the property on the other side of the outlot next to the Sanger's property. Our address is W7184 Chicago Point Road, Watoma. Regarding the request for a variance on their property at W7176 Chicago Point Road, we are in favor of and have no objections to the variance being granted. And that's signed Dwayne and Jean Bartel, Bartel. October 14th, we received another one to the Washera County Zoning Board. We own the property at W7181 Chicago Point Road, within 50 feet of the Sanger's property and directly across from the outlot adjacent their property. Regarding the request for a variance on their property at W7176 Chicago Point Road, we have no objections to the variance being requested. That's signed John and Stephanie Fox. And one more received on October 11th. Attention Zoning Department. In referencing the above variance for the Sangers, we have no problem with them doing that variance. I am also the trustee for the estate of Stephanie Sabatino, and as such, also approve the variance. If you have any questions on this, please contact me, Frank Sabatino, at this number. That's signed, thank you, Frank Sabatino, Sabatino.
The first name was
Frank.
Frank?
Frank. And that's it for correspondence. Oh, and the only one that registered was Jeff, sorry.
Okay. Staff comments?
So we have another variance. When the board visited the property, they noted that the existing home was constructed so that it did not meet the side lot setback, although I have to assume that that's what they intended to do. It always makes this kind of tricky. Now we have that illegal structure rather than a non-conforming one. And the side they want to add on to will actually come closer to the side lot line. If the house had been angled properly and met all the setbacks when it was built, I'm not even sure we'd be here because everything would be in compliance. We need the variance to clean up the existing house and allow it to remain at less than the required setback. And then you need the further variance so the addition can be constructed coming even a little closer to the side lot line. I also figured out today that there was some shoreline work done about 10 years ago that was cost shared by our department. This work replaced a concrete block seawall with a bag wall and then revegetated that slope to the lake. And while this is all really good and a positive thing, I don't think it meets the letter of current revegetation standards for a shoreline buffer. I think it could be added to very slightly so that it met current standards. I certainly think addressing stormwater and erosion control and providing that buffer, because the home is going to be larger and taller, so you're going to be able to probably see it more from the lake, would all be proper mitigation items in this instance, should you consider an approval. And I certainly recommend approval of the legal home part, because I think that's, actually there's a provision in shoreline zoning that you cannot follow up on a violation if it's more than 10 years old. So if you denied it, we couldn't do anything about it anyway, just so that part is clear.
We're handling this as a Part A and Part B under the same one variance number? Okay.
Any other committee questions or anything?
I have none.
Okay. Rebuttal to anything? Next variance to be considered, P. Michael Shattuck, Berlin, Wisconsin, made an application for a variance in accordance with section 58-864, paragraph 2 of the Washera County Zoning Code to place a type 2 sign at the highway right-of-way, which will not have the minimum 8-foot 5-foot clearance from the bottom of the sign to the adjoining ground surface. In the CG General Commercial Zone location, a parcel of land known as Lot 2, certified survey map number 1746, being part of the southeast one quarter, section 27, Town of Watoma, N2934, State Road 22. Would you come forward, please? State your name for the record.
Mike Shattuck. So this issue has come up. There is a medical office building. It's on Highway 22. The initial sign that was there when it was built 25 years ago was too low. People had a hard time seeing it. When the office the practice that was inside was acquired and the name was changed, it was changed to a sign that was lighted and higher, and it was more visible, less problems with people skidding, trying to could miss the entryway because they couldn't see where it was. The problem is that the highway is banked slightly right there, and the road is much higher than the ground there. So if you don't elevate that sign, it's hard for people to see it as they're going by on the highway. So now, with the change in the name of the practice, rebranding, they're proposing putting a new sign there, and it would make sense and be safer if the sign were the same height to be visible there.
Okay. Any survey work done out there recently, or you know where the lot lines are and everything? Is this sign in the right-of-way or out of the road right-of-way?
It's out of the road.
It's out of the road right-of-way. Sign is approximately 7.5 by 12 and will not be located off the ground at all, correct? Be right flat on ground, pretty much like you are?
There is a landscape circle there that is elevated, I don't know.
Is that gonna remain the one that's there now? Is that gonna remain there?
Yes. It'll be
The circle?
maybe there.
If he's gonna speak, he's gotta state his name and where you're from.
Hi, Matt Kaminsky. I'm from West Allis, Wisconsin, and I'm the agent with the sign company.
Okay.
So the bricks and the bushes are staying, or is something new going?
Nothing will change other than the sign that's there now will go away, and the new sign will be perched in the exact same spot at the exact same setback, and the overall height will actually be about 6 inches shorter, just because this has an uneven top. The top is pitched on it, so the top on the new sign is flat across, so it's a little bit lower.
Lighted sign?
Yes.
Will the lights interfere with traffic on the highway?
Not at all. Only the characters light up, which is in keeping with what they have right here.
Okay.
Not a sign.
It's not floodlights, it's not floodlights?
No, it's internal illumination. There's no external illumination
All right.
at all.
Have you checked with the DOT? Is there any problem with them? No to what?
No, there's no problem with them.
I guess that's about all I have. Anybody else have any questions?
When do you plan to do it, if it's approved?
As soon as we can manufacture the sign, so maybe 8 weeks.
And that sign, I take it, is standard through all of Theta's buildings?
Correct. Yeah, they're in the process of doing a rebranding. This is actually the final location. You may or may not have been up to Wild Rose. Wild Rose was just completed maybe 2-3 days ago.
And they'll all be the same sign then, I take it, pretty much?
Correct.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you.
Correspondence?
No correspondence and no one registered.
Staff comments?
When the board visited the property, they noted that the existing sign does not impede vision or pose a threat to safety in its current location. And they also noted that the existing sign does not conform to the sign code as far as clearance under the sign for visibility goes. When I try to look at the code, I try to figure out the reasons for the provisions that are in there. And it appears to me that this was a solution in commercial areas in our more urban settings, when we have signs at the right-of-way and you have the road coming closer in the right-of-way. Highway 21 east of town is a good example. Some of those signs there's the wider road then you got a sidewalk, and then you got the sign, and you got the driveway right there, and people trying to get out couldn't see if you had a sign like this. That is not the case in this particular instance. It is zone commercial, but the whole conditions are different, and the road is actually higher. The road actually kind of curves away a little bit. So if you're looking at it from a safety standpoint, I think this is as safe or maybe even safer to not elevate it in the air. So I think this is one that certainly the circumstances warrant an approval.
Okay. Final variance then, Jeremy Gayberry, New London, Wisconsin, made an application or variance in accordance with section 58-823, paragraph C, paragraph 2, Waushara County zoning code to place a single-family dwelling on a non-conforming lot, non-conforming due to lot width, existing home to be raised in the AG General Agricultural Zone within the shoreland area. Location, a parcel of land being part of Government Lot 3, also known as Lot 18, of an unrecorded survey, Section 26, Town of Springwater, Kuzo Lake, W5459, Archer Lane. Want to come forward again, Jeremy? Give us a short version.
2 for 1.
What was the decision of finding zoning?
They approved it.
Approved your plan. Give us a short version, and we've got some questions.
Okay. Just wanting to replace an existing older mobile home with a newer mobile home. The newer home is a lot more pleasing than the old one. It's definitely would be an improvement to the lot.
You know where the lot lines are, and there's been a recent survey out there.
Yes.
You talked with the neighbors and Lake Association Town Board?
Yes.
Type of foundation you said would be on a poured concrete?
Yes, if that's the requirement, yes.
And how far above existing grade will the first floor elevation be to get you out of the floodplain there, probably?
That I don't know. I think I have to have somebody come out and do something with that, look at.
And that's your intention, to get it
Yes.
up out of the floodplain? Okay.
I don't think I have to go up much, maybe another like 5 inches or so.
Good. How do you plan on dealing with stormwater runoff and potential erosion when construction is so close to the lake there?
I would do the silt fence or whatever, and actually the contractor that I'm hiring, I assume, would take care of that.
Okay, all setbacks will be met?
Yes.
Okay. The septic system, do you want to briefly explain what you got there?
The septic system, the current septic system will be replaced. I've had Kirschner Septic out there to look at it. They have a plan, they've done soil testing. Basically, I just need to, I didn't want to do anything until I received approval to put something else there. The system that's there currently works, but it's just not, the new mobile home has one additional bathroom.
And did the other committee address the driveway,
Yeah,
shared driveway and
we would do a
easement?
shared driveway easement, or
Okay.
easement.
Have you thought about restoring the shoreland in that area there with some vegetation?
Eventually, yes.
Any other committee questions?
We're gonna abandon the driveway now?
One up on top of the hill you're gonna abandon?
It sounded like you didn't want to in the other hearing.
No, it's fine. We'll just do the easement, and it's just easier.
Well, because the drawings we had showed that there was no room for a driveway up there anymore. Unless, and we have Kirschner's preliminary here, and it just didn't show anywhere that you could have a driveway up there anymore. That's why Terry is on, that has to
I
be
think-
something.
I think the septic system's gonna end up being really close to the right-of-way, so if you did park up there, you were gonna be in the right-of-way, and that
Okay.
can cause some issues.
That's fine. It won't be a big deal. I don't plan on selling either property anytime soon, so.
Okay. You can have a chair then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Correspondence?
Yes, we have 2 letters. We have the same letter from the town of Springwater. Want me to read it again, or you're good with that? So they were in favor of both the conditional use and the variance. And then we have one other one that we received today Good morning. I am unable to attend tonight's meeting. My views on the variance are the same as my father's. What a person does on their property is their business. He did wonder, however, how they were able to put that trailer there in the first place. He said that the land was too small for it and that the trailers were not to be placed on lake property, especially when there were campsites nearby. I went back to the 2 letters concerning my property that were written by Jeremy Gabbery and Jeremy Gorges, who own that piece of property. They said that they come up from the city to enjoy a quiet, wooded area. I drive past their property almost every weekend to visit family. That property is usually filled with cars, golf carts, boats, jet skis, snowmobiles, RVs, empty trailers, etc. If they want to escape the city to look at it, it is their business. I think that removing the mobile home and replacing it with more garage space would make it look cleaner and neater as far as property values go. It is the neighbors that live next to them that have to deal with this. And that's signed sincerely, George O. Edgren III. And that's it for correspondence.
Staff comments?
Our last variance for the night. This variance is needed because of the dimensional standard of the lot itself. It's a non-conforming lot. It does not meet the 65-foot width requirement that is required to build on a lot. It is kind of unique because it is a mobile home, and it's also zoned general agricultural, which means our side lot setbacks are 20 feet. So I think if they were not putting another mobile home here, they would not meet all the setbacks either, but the mobile home just fits in there, meeting the road setback and the lake setback, and because it goes the long way to the lake, they can meet the side lot setbacks too. So it is kind of a unique thing, just how it's all worked out that way, but we're really here just looking at the size of the lot and making sure that it's okay to put another home on it. When the board visited the property, they noted that the new septic system is proposed to be under the existing driveway, so provision should be made to share the driveway with the cottage to the west, since adequate room no longer exists on the parcel once the septic is installed. They also noted that stormwater and floodplain issues will need to be addressed as well as the small swale down by the water. They also noted that additional vegetation would help address runoff concerns. And once proper mitigation is instituted, I think this is really pretty straightforward application, and it will definitely improve the conditions on this parcel and in the surrounding area. So that's it for my comments.
Jeremy, anything in rebuttal? Okay. That closes the public hearing then. We will go right into our business meeting and vote on the applications presented tonight. Call the meeting to order. Roll call will show everyone present. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Also move.